Hey, everybody, and welcome to our second interview with a therapist. Today, we have Charlotte Allison with us. She is the Community Support and Peer Support Clinical Supervisor, and she's just awesome. She's super knowledgeable, and today she's going to talk to us a little bit about reframing. So, Charlotte, reframing is not something that I've really heard a lot about. So can you tell us, what is it first off, and why is it important right now?
Sure. So reframing is actually a form of cognitive restructuring. It's a way to challenge how we think about things and how we perceive situations. Reframing can be really helpful, especially during our new normal right now with COVID and everything that's happening. We are experiencing so much more stress in our environments, and that can be really difficult to adjust to and navigate through. We, as human beings, might kind of have this tendency to see things from a negative perspective, and we end up kind of minimizing any kind of positives or even neutral things about a situation. So reframing is a good way to help keep things in perspective so that you're not just focusing on the negatives of a situation. Now, it's not, going from, thinking positively and ignoring the negatives. It's important to validate what's not going well, to validate what is difficult, but also then to remind ourselves, okay, what is going well for me right now? What are some of the benefits of this situation? And I'm going to talk about telehealth specifically as an example, just for me personally. It's something that I know a lot of my peer support and community support folks have struggled with because they're no longer face-to-face. A lot of our clients have struggled with it because you lose, the intimacy of being face-to-face. You lose the luxury of actually being, present and in person with somebody else. And it's important to acknowledge that, yes, those are really difficult things and disappointing too. But also then making sure that we ask folks or ask ourselves what's something that that we can do with telehealth that we weren't able to do before. I know for me personally, I've seen a lot more outreach. I have a lot of clients all over the state, whereas normally I would just have them within just a certain area. Clients don't have to worry about transportation. I've had some clients even tell me that, if it weren't for telehealth, I wouldn't have made my appointment today. I could actually just hop on to the computer or the phone or laptop and jump on without having to worry about, getting across town or getting a ride. So that's just a simple example of reframing. Another example of reframing that I use in my personal life and something that I work with clients on is not thinking in such black and white terms of, well, if I'm not perfect, then I'm a failure. That's a black and white thinking. But acknowledging, okay, I'm not very good at these things here, and I struggle with these things. But on the other hand, I do have strengths, and this is what I am good at. So that you're wading more into the gray, and instead of that, black and white thinking, and that's a form of reframing too. Is not I'm a total failure because I didn't get an A on this test that I wanted or that I took, but reframing and okay, I didn't do as well on this test that I wanted to, but I've done well on this past test, or I do well in this other subject.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that is incredibly helpful. I think oftentimes we can kind of just start with that negative and get stuck there and not move forward. So then, it just becomes like this pity party kind of thing instead of actually moving towards something helpful. So I love that. Yeah. I know that this is kind of a big struggle right now, especially with kids going back to school. There's a lot of inconsistency. There's a lot of kind of fear and anxiety about is this going to be consistent? How are my grades going to look? are we going to go back to virtual learning? Some of them already are there. So can you talk a little bit about how we can help our kids reframe that situation and make the most of it?
Yeah, and I think, first and foremost, it's important to, again, to validate the feelings of anxiety and stress over the situation.
Yeah.
That's super important, because then your kids are feeling heard, they're feeling more understood,
Mm.
as opposed to just coming right out and saying, well, what's positive about this? Then they're feeling, they're not being, those feelings aren't being acknowledged. But then, after doing that, then asking them, well, what have you liked so far about this? What's different that you've liked? Sleeping in a little bit, not having to get up early, maybe not having to spend as much time getting ready, and things like that. So that's, it's important to acknowledge the pity a little bit, and but just not letting ourselves or our kids stay there.
Yeah. That's awesome. I think this is incredibly valuable, Charlotte. I love that you've explained this so well. So if people are looking for help with reframing, or looking to get like more information on how to help their kids do this reframing, where should they go? What should they do?
Oh, that's a good question. I would encourage all parents, any parent that is struggling with this adjustment, going from, not only are you now the parent, you're also now the teacher, you're also now the babysitter. That is a really difficult adjustment. And I encourage any parent that, is feeling any kind of stress, which I think is a lot of us right now, to reach out and, talk to a professional about, how you're coping and dealing with things, and also how you can help your kids during that transition. Because that can also, how your kids are handling something can affect you as a parent, because you might feel helpless in the situation. And so it's really important to to be able to get those feelings out and talk to a professional to navigate some of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Charlotte, thank you so much for giving this helpful information. And to anybody watching, if you are feeling the need to get some help reframing, or if you feel like your kids might need help with reframing, definitely reach out to Mindsight. We would be happy to help you walk through that process. It's a stressful time, and we all need a little bit more support right now. So feel free to call our office. We're at 606-401-2966. We look forward to hearing from you. See you next time.
Bye.